Little Caesars changed the game, bro.
They did.
Little Caesars changed. That's the most childish shit ever.
Hey, Chewy, blood. They want you on the podcast, bro. Look, he Mexican, bro. You gotta put him on.
Am I interrupting your depression? I'm sorry.
This week's episode of The Voice Party is brought to you by Big Boy Wraps. Get your car wrapped by some of the most experienced and skilled in the Bay. Big Boy Wraps, where the big boys play.
All right, Jay.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Voice Party Podcast. It's me, JD, here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm here with White Marcos. What's up, dude? How you doing?
On, man?
That's a nice looking chain you got there.
Thank you. It's fake.
Okay, cool. I'm here with Black Joaquin. What's up, dude? How you doing?
Man, I'm good. I'm good.
Good. We've got fucking coughing ass Phil over there.
I'm sure it's not
Oh
COVID,
my God.
probably.
I don't care what it is.
We got
something.
We got a very special guest here today. I've known you, like, not known you for a while, but very, we met a long time ago.
How the comedy life works, you know.
My homie Shanti Charan, what's up?
Thank you for having me.
Did I say it right?
Well, Shanti Charan, like, why don't you run and get me a sandwich? And then I'm always like, yeah, no, for real though, go get me something.
We saw each other again for the first time, 2022 in the summertime?
Yeah, I think at
Copper Spoon.
At Copper Spoon, yeah.
You don't remember the last time we saw each other before that?
I don't remember.
I remember.
Shit. Well, fucking the way it leads up to that, it sounds like, I don't know. I'm like, do I want to hear the story?
It was just the funniest thing. It was in Berkeley.
Okay.
And we were pretty drunk.
That's what I was like.
Me, you, and Frankie Quinones.
Okay.
Dancing in a circle.
I love dancing in a circle, man. That's my jam. Dancing in a circle, talking in a circle.
That's the last time I saw you until,
That's a good memory.
That was a good memory.
Dancing in a circle.
Yeah, dancing in a circle.
The day I die, if you're at the funeral, man, be like, man, we danced in a circle once. It was a shit. In the circle, it was all fucking even and shit.
Yeah, everybody.
We were fucked up.
We were doing the chicken wing like this.
Man, I didn't even know I knew that dance.
Yeah, I didn't know. I learned it from watching you. We've been talking about having you on here since summertime. We've rescheduled. I know
I've
busy.
rescheduled a couple times. My bad.
It's all good.
Oh, she was who you were talking about that you would never have. Gotcha.
No.
Wait for real quick. So we got White Marcos.
I'm not white.
What is it? Marcos. Marcos. Okay.
Mexican.
White but not white.
I'm Mexican,
Marcos.
but
Mexican. Black Joaquin. Are you black?
75%.
I just want to make sure I find out what you identify as.
Yes.
You race is a social construct. I need to figure
We've
it out.
gotten these nicknames from different comedians.
And you were
coming
COVID
through.
Chris? What happened? How come you didn't get a
I'm
race?
pretty sure it's not COVID.
Jesus Christ. This reminds me of
Race, disease. I like how y'all split it up like it's prison or some shit. With the Mexicans, black, and white Chris.
This reminds me of that
Better
scene.
than racist Phil.
Yeah. It reminds me of that scene from Mean Girls. If you're from Africa, why are you white? Oh my God, you just can't ask people why they're white.
Normally, when we're fully staffed, it goes JD, then Marcos, then me, then Corday. So you go.
It's like
Mexican,
blacks, Mexicans,
and then-
whites.
I like the hierarchy
And
is
it's
different. I
interesting
like
that you
that.
have the mixed race guy sort of transition to the full black man, and then there's the white guy.
There's a white
like
guy
that.
by himself,
Just in case at the end.
coughing by himself.
The most dangerous of them all.
Spreading diseases and shit.
Goddamn
Disease is the safest part of them.
How you doing, dude?
I'm doing good.
Yeah,
I'm doing good. I'm having a good day, man.
Awesome. I'm happy to have you on here, dude. For
I'm
real.
happy to be here.
Because like I said, when I started coming around at shows with Johan back in the days, you're people don't understand. You're a fucking killer, dude.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm not like that undiscovered. What's that, Rudy? Whatever, where they don't know yet. I'm the little secret killer. They don't know. Luckily, I've been able
Secret killer. High blood pressure. That's your new nickname. High blood pressure.
Man. Yeah, fuck man. High blood pressure. Check that BP. No, yeah. I'm stoked to be here. I had a good day. I had fajitas earlier, fucking just chilling. I took a nap after I ate. It was like a relaxing day like that. So I'm like feeling good right now. I'm ready.
You can function after you take a nap. You're good. You can get up and
she's healthy, dog.
I mean, you know, I don't nap that much.
If I take a nap, I'm done for the rest of the day.
I feel depressed for the rest of the day if I take a nap.
It was a post-fuck nap. It was a post-fuck nap. So I think because the context
so you just
of the
had
nap.
a wonderful day.
Yeah, it was fajitas at Chili's, and then a little bit of fucking, and then a nap, and then I took my dog for a walk, and then I hit my vape pen, and now I'm here.
You do stuff after sex?
She's a champion, bro.
I'm an efficient woman, all right? I get shit done. That's actually what turns me on, is checking shit off of a list. Then I'm all horny, and then I'm like, I can check that motherfucker off the list too. Getting shit done today.
What time do you wake up?
Fucking 7 a.m.
Oh shit!
That's why you had a nap.
Yeah.
Okay. See,
I feel like if you wake up early enough, it's acceptable to take a nap. But if you're one of those people,
that's true,
like me or my brother who wake up on our day off at 1 p.m. and then you take a nap at 3,
it's just disrespectful.
You're just a lazy fucking bum.
You're like, get it together.
Yeah.
I have a dog. That's why I have a pit bull mastiff.
Bernie.
Yeah, Bernie, and he, pit bulls, when they gain weight, they get a lot of joint issues, and I just want him. He's gonna live forever, And so to make sure he lives forever, I need to keep him on the healthy walk. So every morning.
How much time do you have left with him, honestly?
100 years. He just turned 9. I'm hoping
you have like 3.
I'm hoping we can get him to 14, 15. Are you trying to make me cry on this show? No, I'm hoping.
You have to balance out your good day.
I think we can get him to 14, 15. He's, he eats healthy. He gets the glucosamine tablets. We doing all the
you're going the extra
oil.
mile.
I'm a millennial woman that is unmarried with no kids. I'm spending my money on my dog.
All right.
So
that sounds
I'm hoping.
Right.
So he wakes me up really early. I never get to sleep in because of it. Yeah, but I love that. It's okay.
You mean the dog doesn't just sleep in the backyard in the wintertime?
Oh no, he has an orthopedic big Barker bed.
That's awesome.
It's an orthopedic bed because he has the joint problems I told you about. He has the joint issues, so he needs that expensive bed.
That's funny.
Wow, that dog's probably healthier than me.
Maybe.
No,
he ain't got a wheelchair yet. He has to have a wheelchair. Just for the listeners,
he was rolling around in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I was thinking that's not a good look for you.
And I haven't seen him in 6 months. So when I get greeted into this podcast environment and he's in a wheelchair, fuck, man, my heart dropped. I was like, fuck, gang activity. Like, what happened? This fool get shot and now he's paralyzed. He didn't even tell me. Like, this is an awkward way to start a podcast, man. I am not in the mood to laugh. Homie is paralyzed.
He was like, friends in a wheelchair. You're doing a podcast next to a garbage truck.
He was like,
what's going on in here?
This already looks sketchy. Like, people walk in here, they already get sketched out. Like, what the fuck?
People think we're in a chop shop.
Yeah, that's what everyone thinks.
This is classy. I like this.
Yeah,
thank you.
Y'all can have all kinds of parties in here.
Oh yeah,
It's good.
Yeah, that was such a great setup. Normally JD goes and like ushers the guests in. He was like, why can't you do me a favor? Go and open the door. That way I can just kind of roll into the scene in the wheelchair. She won't be expecting a thing.
He's been running into cars and shit with the wheelchair.
It's like we've been here all day. And pushing myself, like, it's got my heart pumping.
Yeah.
I got high blood pressure, so I need to do some exercise.
Yeah.
And like I'm like,
it's just upsetting to hear like that's your form of exercise, bro. That's such a fat person.
Get that
to
arm
say.
workout, get that arm workout.
Get the heart pumping, man.
I played in a wheelchair for 3 minutes today, so that's my workout for the year.
It's like, fuck, man.
Now I can go eat Taco Bell every day for the next.
That's why I'm like, I hear you said you do stuff after 6 and after fajitas. Like, God,
He doesn't do anything after one slice of pizza.
Yeah. You took a nap and woke up afterwards?
Yeah.
You didn't just go to sleep, wake up and just get ready for sleep, like regular sleep,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, the sex was also low activity. It was like that sleepy sex,
but
it's good enough, right?
It's good enough. Get the job done.
You got.
There's tears.
Yeah, there's different degrees. It's like grand larceny and petty theft. It's like, did you have a petty theft fuck or you have a grand larceny fuck?
This is misdemeanor.
It was a misdemeanor fuck. That's good.
Speaking of crime,
You're getting a ticket for that.
Wait. You'd rather have a misdemeanor fuck consistently than rather go on a roller coaster.
Man, I'm going grand larceny all the way, man. These motherfuckers.
That's you can't have that every
go
time.
home.
I just get pulled over. That's the kind of sex I'm having. Just to pull over, check my ID, cool. You're good to go.
Say go hard at home.
Hey, speaking of crime, though. Speaking of crime, like my segue? You like my segue?
I like it.
You do something interesting for a living.
I do. I like it.
I like talking about what comics do outside of the stage.
I love it because fuck them what they're doing on stage.
We know you're a killer. They see it. They see it, you know.
What do you do for a living?
Oh, yeah. I forgot. What do you do?
I'm a teacher. I work at a local college, and through there, I work at county jails teaching college-level courses to people who are incarcerated. So when they get out, their chances of recidivism decrease because furthering your education helps you on a path of maybe not going back to jail.
Yeah, oh, duh, yeah.
That is not at all what I thought you were going to say.
What did you think I was going to say?
Oh, you segued it from speaking of illegal, so I was going to be like, oh,
illegal.
I said, be like a prostitute.
I said crime. Crime. Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
So what subjects?
So I teach communication studies. The classes I teach, interpersonal communication has to do with conflict management, like resolution, repair, relationship repair, things that they're working on while they're in there. Also intercultural communication. I have a listening course that I teach to a certain unit, which has to be separated from other units. And so it's kind of interesting, the groups of people that I work with, but the classes are really dope because they get really personal. Like interpersonal, it's like, okay, one assignment is let's work on like an apology. Like, what are the different components? Recognizing what you did, apologizing for it, ownership, figuring out how you're going to fix it in the future. So they go through this whole process, and then you really get to know them. And
you said you're working in jail.
Right now I'm working
men's prison.
I'm working only in with incarcerated men right now, but there's women at the facility I work at too. Unfortunately, it's a big problem with gender equity in incarceration. Women don't get as much as what the men get. Either they don't have as many COs working there or whatever. So the classes, unfortunately, I'm teaching because of whatever is going on. I'm not teaching in the women's unit, which is just them losing out on something.
I have a solution.
Fortunate.
Yeah.
More women prisoners.
Incarcerate more women.
No, honestly, it has to be the opposite. I'm telling you, the women, it's just like, it just needs to be the opposite.
That's what we need to do.
I feel like the opposite. It's just such a fucked up system. It's just,
they need more people, more.
I think everyone's just incarcerated because of drugs. I think drugs is a huge problem. I think like rehabilitative things is what people need, because a lot of people don't need to be incarcerated. It's just systemic issues that keep people in there.
Do you find that the men are being really receptive to the classes, though?
I found in different security, the men their levels of receptiveness are different. Like in minimum, I work for a program called RCP. It's I forget what it stands for, rehabilitation something program, something helping with that. But that works with mostly minimum men, which are mostly in there for small things, infractions, either like you will see small things like DUIs and selling meth and stealing a car because you're on meth, whatever, things like that.
But not murder,
not like murder and assault and things like that.
So you're not dealing with those kind of students right now?
Well, I do. You do. So I do deal with those kind of students, but I would say with the minimum, because they're not in there for as long, I feel like maybe hope and energy is different with them.
They're a little more receptive and trying to
maybe
learn.
like, and then the school I work for, we have a grant that helps people that are going in the classes right now while incarcerated. If they get released and they go to the college, there's special funding right now to help them.
I was going to say, does this look good on them too?
It looks great. They asked me to write letters to their judges about how they're great, so I write letters.
Can you affect their case by what you say? Really?
Totally. Like, probably not by much. I can affect it in a way that makes them look better.
Right.
So if they're like, hey, like, can you write me a letter saying I'm actually like trying to show that I'm trying to grow?
But what you say, like, has add some weight to their case? It can,
I guess, in a good way only.
Yeah, for sure.
So it helps out. So I'll be like,
do you ever get petty and just be like, this dude's not learning?
Keep this dude in for another 15, 20 years.
Do any of your
throw him in the hole?
Do any of your students ever? Because I as you were describing things like was a conflict management resolution. Do you ever get guys in the upper level security go, so you mean I shouldn't just stab a guy in the neck for stepping on my Jordans?
Yeah, I mean, I do have. So
taking notes. Don't have to stab over shoes. Got it.
Definitely. I mean, because there's COs around, they wouldn't be able to speak like that because
teaching
that's
class?
Just breaking code.
It would be like that's not safe or that's not promoting the vibe we're trying to promote here. So those kind of things are like out of line, like talking about future crime or possibility of crime or anything
Or
like
past crime?
Past crime is okay. They can talk to me about past crime openly, which they do, which is kind of hilarious sometimes. with some
Really?
of the things. And minimum, it's kind of funny. They'll be like,
What's something you've heard? Like, if you can get into.
Yeah, so one time, one dude got caught up, like, he was selling, and they were trying to get caught up, and a helicopter ended up chasing them, and then they got pulled over, and they're like, just random stories like that with how they get caught up and how.
Yeah.
They're on one, just the crazy stories, stealing cars, driving on the wrong side of the road and shit. I'm like, what the fuck, really, man?
When you're
homework, man.
When you're teaching, are you in there by yourself with a group of them, or is there a CO in there with you?
Yeah, so with minimum security, because the vibe is better in regards to their hope and wanting to get out.
Safer per se.
And safer, so I won't have an officer. I have one that walks in and checks in, but there's not necessarily one in there.
Right.
But with, I work in a different dorm, which they live in cells, and it's kind of like, it looks like Orange is the New Black, like when they're in cells, and when I get in, roll call, the CO lets them out of the rooms, the cells, and then they come down. I would say that one, there's always a CO present. Okay. Recently, I was working in a dorm where a CO doesn't need to be present, but I didn't like that specific space without a CO. So I decided to bow out of that classroom. Yeah.
Me as a dude would probably feel uncomfortable. So you, they're probably like, damn, girl.
No,
you don't feel that? Well, it's just they haven't seen a woman in a long time, and I mean, I'm just saying,
not even just that, but like if everyone in prison is on edge at all time.
Yeah.
What? No matter kind of
aside from that other stuff.
Yeah, aside from the other stuff.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would you just leave someone outside in without a CO? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think because the dorms have clear glass, and not that I'm justifying or saying why in any reason, because I'm like, motherfuckers, I should have a fucking personal goddamn security guard the whole time. No, I'm just kidding. But
two
they have
dudes with axes and helmets,
yeah, exactly. Protect me. No, I'm just kidding. But there's glass doors, and there's 3 COs that can constantly look in. So if anything, it's like an immediate thing. But still, audibly, they're not. I don't know. I just didn't feel
threatened.
So, but the way they run it is in that specific dorm, a CO isn't needed, which is why all of those inmates were chosen to be in that dorm. It's because they're nonviolent offenders or whatever, so they don't need to have that around all the time.
That makes
but
sense.
to go back to, do I feel like sexualized where I'm working? Luckily, a lot of the places in the rooms I'm working, they're so happy that I'm there that they don't want to make me feel uncomfortable in any way. And so if anyone even tried to, the people there, like let's say there's a shot caller in my class or whatever, or whoever is in the hierarchy would check them to not make me feel uncomfortable. So I would keep returning.
They're not trying to lose.
They're not trying to lose me.
Right.
They love me. I'm like a super cool teacher. I be fucking cussing and I'm fun, and I ask them to talk about stuff, and they can shoot the shit and get loud and whatever. I'm not here to be regulative or punitive in any way. They already have officers doing that.
You're hosting an open mic.
For real. Honestly, these dudes in jail are just fucking comedians that got caught. Really. That's fucking, they just got caught. I'm just dealing with a bunch of fucking y'all in there. That's what it is.
Funny.
And so that's what it honestly feels like too. Like a lot of them are the same age range, they're all like late 20s, maybe early 40s, most of them. And so I feel like I treat them like a human, and I think they appreciate that, because I also don't work for incarceration. I don't work in incarceration. I work at a college, and I'm hired to teach there. But I'm not an employee of the facility, which I think changes the mindset of some people.
100%.
And so I think I'm lucky because I don't have that mindset. So I think they feel good, like, hey, she's a good one, and like, let's not give her shit. Let's not. And so I feel good. I got a good group of dudes in my classes so far. Yeah.
Do you ever, because anyone that works, people like teachers that I know, especially in your place of work where you're at, do you ever carry some of that shit home, where it's like,
oh yeah,
a lot of my teacher friends, like Corday says, they love happy hour after a full day of just dealing, seeing,
after a full week
of hearing all these fucked up stories from these kids. and you're actually going where they're like, you know, incarcerated. So like, does that affect you like personally?
Yeah, I think recently the class I was mentioning I dropped not being in there. I was saying audibly, like, you know, they'll be like, there's 60 men in that room, bunks, dorms, 2 levels. Only 25 are in my class. So all these other dudes that are doing things, working out, playing ball in the yard, going to the bathroom, watching TV. Some of them watch my class. Some of them will say boo or whatever, because the incentive to be there and to get that education isn't there. So if it's not there, they're kind of like, man, fuck this. Also, sometimes in jail, they get incentives like certain food or pizza or a movie, and if they don't get those things, they're not easy for me. They're difficult because now they're angered because they haven't gotten the things. So then why be good in this class? Why? Yeah. You know, like, yeah, so that gets hard.
It's like when they're filming a movie in prison and they don't get their beer or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, we had someone, we had a couple of former prisoners on our show, and one of the things they talked about was mandatory exercise, meaning, you know, no matter what racial
under 45,
under 45,
something like that, yeah.
So it's interesting to me that there are guys in your class. It sounds like there's some that are under 45 not exercising during exercise. Now, are there consequences because they're not out there doing this? Like, are their jail buddies fighting them because they're getting their education instead of doing the mandatory like reps? What is that like for them?
Yeah, I think, well, getting their education, I think a lot of people support it. Funnily enough, and maybe in jail, because I'm working in jails, it might be different in prison. With jails, funnily enough, there's a lot of camaraderie that I'm seeing. There's still fights, like there's still dudes getting beat up and stabbed. There's still all that happening. But luckily in my classrooms, I'm seeing camaraderie, and the effort to kind of better yourself is embraced by the other inmates. It's like, yeah, dude, do your thing, like get out, be better, don't, you know. And so I like that. But with working out, I think maybe that might be a more, and I don't know, maybe a more prison thing because of how long they're there. Because, man, jail, man, they're unhealthy as fuck. Like, a lot of people are unhealthy as fuck. They're gaining a lot of weight because the food is terrible. They don't feed them any vegetables. Like, getting the vegetables, trying to get, like, fucking crack on the street or something. It's like, you got to try a little harder. It's just not at the store. And so it's like they're gaining weight from that. There's no vegetables. They're not working out if they don't want to. And, you know, that's just, so I haven't heard about a mandate workout. I know dudes that still work out that, you know, they're still they make the little makeshift workout stuff. You know, they fill in water jugs with water and do bicep curls or trash bags with water, and they hold it like that. And so they do their little things. They make it work, you know.
Right.
Before this, like, did you have any experience with, like, jail culture? Or
I haven't.
So was it a shock?
I haven't. It was, which was just to circle back to your earlier question with what do I carry with me with, like, emotions or stuff. Going through that, I did try to get them to quiet down in that space, which I don't like to do. Because
everybody shut the fuck up.
And I have to do it in a way which is like doesn't threaten their masculinity.
I was gonna say, you have to be very careful.
I have to be like, hey, like, can we, or whatever. And then when it gets,
so then you can cross the line in 2 seconds too.
Exactly. So I don't want to do that, because also in my head I'm like, I just don't want to cross any lines. Who knows? And so it got a little difficult that day, and then some started like yelling back at me and like saying disrespectful stuff, which I don't yell back at them. I just knocked on the doors to get the COs in. But feeling that kind of aggressive energy did give me anxiety. It did make me feel things. And so like when I left, I felt like, God, like I hate being in this room where, you know, I don't feel completely safe, even though you know I should be, because they're not violent. Still verbally, I felt not safe.
Still feel threatened.
Still a bunch of knuckleheads.
Yeah,
in there.
it's interesting because they it's like usually with that age group, they tend to be more like, you know, the difference between, say, college and high school is that everyone in college taking college level courses is receptive and listening, and they want to be there. But this is the first example I've heard of where you've got college age and post-grad age people acting like sixth graders. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I think also drugs has a lot to do with it. You know, like even though they're incarcerated, there's still a huge opportunity to like get intoxicated. Like they'll make alcohol with hand sanitizer.
Pruno.
They call it Hennessy.
Oh, yeah.
Hennessy.
Hennessy, yeah.
And so they, or with cleaning supply or old fruit, ferment it for a long ass time in bags underneath your mattress, so then whatever COs don't see it when you get checked.
Not including the drugs that still come in.
Yeah. So it's like, and I can see some of their faces too, you know, sometimes, and that's at every facility. It's not like the facility I work at is. It's just people will figure it out how to bring stuff in.
Has this affected your comedy?
I think it's probably made me better, you know, because I think the life that I'm exposed to, I find it really interesting.
Yeah.
So now I'm drawing from that when I'm doing comedy, which I think makes it not just about Tinder dates, you know, and not just about like the.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of comedians, we all talk about this like microcosm of things. Like we're all in this bubble of we go on dates, we go to Starbucks, airports are crazy. I was at this hotel, and you know, and that's like the general my parents stuff.
Well, you guys are rock stars on the road, you know, with comedy, and
Exactly.
it's the same. At some point, it becomes the same thing every
Like
day, just like
comedy
hard
jargon.
work.
Yeah.
Even though you're doing something different than everyone else, you end up doing the same thing.
Yeah, so I do
there's
appreciate a
only
different
some-
thing
Right.
when I can hear. So
It's
I
nice
like
to
that.
stand out.
I like that about my stuff and other people where I hear them talking about different things. I always appreciate that because I'm like, oh, this is different. Like, what is this world I have no insight into, you know? So I think that's helped.
Do your students know that you're a comedian?
In minimum, yeah, my students do know. Because the classes I teach, communication studies, interpersonal, it is so interpersonal. Like we've cried in that class together, you know, like they've shared things of regret or, you know, what they want to work on or whatever. And like they've shared to a point where they're tearing up, to a point where like I tear up because we get so connective in that way. And so I've opened up about my stuff, and you know, when they get out, they're like, oh, we want to come see you or whatever. And some of
You're
them,
like, fuck, no.
you know, well, actually I'm not, because I'm just like, you guys just got served the wrong, you know what I'm saying? It's just when you,
the wrong hand.
It's just the wrong hand, and they're just all good, solid dudes. And there's so many comics that also have probably been to jail, and,
for sure.
and we don't judge them and whatever. And so just like any marginalized group, I don't even like people saying criminals. You know, if they say criminals, like I was like, let's try to maybe say another word. You know, like instead of prostitute, like sex worker, instead of what, you know, there's different language to kind of shape things.
For sure, because there's some people, like you said, there's their first time offenders, and they fucked up.
And I don't think of them as a criminal. Like fuck, like I'm sorry you got, you know, caught up on a DUI, or I'm sorry that you were neglected as a kid and exposed to crack at the age of 11, and like now you're here. And so
to me, criminal is someone who's like career, like Lucky Luciano. That was a criminal.
That's criminal.
Yeah, okay,
He did that for like 30 years or whatever, like or however long until they whacked him. Like that's a criminal.
Escobar.
Yeah, that's a criminal.
Yeah, no, yeah.
That's somebody who literally is built an empire off of
Donald Trump.
That's right.
And those people aren't gonna want to sit in class
Jeff
and better
Bezos.
themselves. You know, they're not like, you know.
At what point would you classify someone as a criminal?
Oh man.
Or just
second murder, maybe.
I would say
the first one's always accidental.
Yeah.
No, but like, or do you just now as a professional working, just the mindset has changed completely? Like, I'm not, even if they are murderers, even if they are like this
a little bit, yeah, because even with murder, like it's put me in a situation where I look at things as not black and white. It's not binary, right and wrong. Like some people are put into systemic inequity where they can't afford things, so they have to break a law to pay for something.
Right.
That's we
And it's
we were talking earlier, like, you know, I mean, capitalism creates a shitload of crimes.
Yeah.
You know,
would
Just
otherwise
needing
not be
money.
non-existent.
to survive. Like, and like, there's still people in jail for weed that now. The same people that lobbied for weed to be illegal at some point are making millions from weed.
Yeah, and we think about like who is in like what groups. It's always a marginalized group that's suffering at the shit end of the stick because they're not getting the things, and then they're going into the system, and then that's continuing to be part of the disadvantaged group. But then with murder, even to say, like, let's example for the women's.
Easy now. No,
I know with murder, it's like totally okay if like, you know, he was a dick, you know, but
self-defense,
right? Like whatever, asshole, you cut me off. No. So with murder, like in the women's facility, a lot of women who are incarcerated are in there because of crimes attached to men that they're with.
like domestic abuse.
Domestic abuse. They killed their abuser. They were trafficked, and they killed a rapist. And there's different laws on if you kill the person abusing you, even though it's self-defense. There's some, and I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know, but there's some technicalities where a lot of women it's really painful seeing them in there. Like these dudes, they got DUIs, they fucking have, you know, but some of these
Got
women
caught
are
up at the sideshow.
yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. My third sideshow. But some of these, everyone is like, it's painful. And I'm kind of glad I'm not teaching in that, because I think it would make me give me a lot more emotional baggage just seeing.
Sense of hopelessness.
Because these women don't get to see their kids for 3 years, 4 years. They're not getting to touch their kids. They're not, and because they're women and the men get priority with getting their sheets cleaned, getting jackets, coats when it's cold. The men are being prioritized.
Why do you think that is?
I think just...
Is it because there's so much more?
I think maybe there's more men, there's more attention put to that.
Right.
Therefore...
They've naturally had to have more attention no matter what.
Exactly. Like, let's think with gender inequity in prisons. Prisons were created first for men.
For men. That's
so
what I was
prisons
gonna
are
say.
closer to metropolitan areas. So if you want to visit a man in jail or prison, it's not as far as a distance. But because we built jails and prisons for women, they're further away, meaning they're further away from access to resources, their family, the things that keep them human.
Right,
and so
right.
that's just one example of the gender inequities. Like the women are further away from everything they need.
Less visits,
medical concerns, you know, and so just because of that, the women that are in there murder, I'm kind of like, well, if motherfucker needed to get stabbed, he needed to get stabbed.
And I've heard too that, like, you know, a lot of the women that, I don't know if this is true, I forget where I read this, that, like, you know, when they're in there pregnant, by the time the baby comes out, you know, obviously has to go to a foster home or whatever, end up committing suicide from sadness of not being able to see the baby.
And that's like reproductive justice too. So earlier we were saying, like, women incarcerated, like, unless these are violent offenders that are, I don't think women need to be incarcerated. Like, I don't think they're out there committing crimes that are hurting people. I think they need rehabilitation. And I think if they are mothers, like, let's think of the effect it's having on children, that, like, and then foster care, and then, you know.
You think, wait, you said women in general do not need?
I think if they're not violent offenders, I don't think
like
they need to be, the way they're
crime?
shackled and history of crime.
Gotcha,
it seems like a lot of women, because of drugs, are in there and trafficking and just sad stuff. I see rehabilitative options as the thing to make 100%. These things better.
We had a, like, early when we first started this podcast, we had a guest who, you know, we didn't know what, she was just you know, here to talk about her book, and then in the process of us interviewing her, she told us about her experience being a victim of human trafficking. And it went on for like months, you know, like, or years maybe. I think, I forget,
a lot of times years, and then they're conditioned in Stockholm syndrome or something, and then another crime happens, and then they get busted, but you forget to think about, like, the experience and the things that led to this moment, which is separate from their fault, kind of.
And it wasn't until, like, it like accidentally came out in front of a family member, like, you know, it was something like that, like someone who decided, hey, you should, you know, escape from this somehow, like, you know. And if, you know, if it is crazy to think that someone that was, you know, doing this, you know, whatever, pimping her out illegally, if she would have, like, stabbed her way out of this, like, she might have done time for, like, a long, regardless of what this other person was doing.
Which is so fucked up, which is why I think, like, prostitution being illegal or sex work being illegal is, like, it also it hurts women, because if it was legal, you could just have your little page, you could have, like, security, you could be like, oh, this is all legal, I don't need this.
Be like DoorDash.
Pimp, I don't need it. Could be like DoorDash, pussy, you know, dick dash, but for pussy.
100%. It'd be taxed.
Pussy pass.
You'd get money back.
Collect points,
deductibles. You'd be able to write shit off on your taxes, and that would help women. And that is also, if we look at it, a gender inequity issue, because if you can't be educated, like, that's a way that you need to make the money you need to make to pay bills. And so if that's illegal.
Also, imagine how much safer it would be, like, just
you're not just opening it up to serial killers to, like, make it easy.
I mean, you don't have to go to necessarily random hotels. There could be a place of business for that to, you know what I mean?
I think there's some European countries that have legalized that.
Sweden or something, somewhere over there.
I bet you know, motherfucker, you went. The second I found that shit was legal, my ass was in Sweden.
No.
Is that what it's called? Sweden? man.
I've never had sex with candy. What are you talking about?
No, somewhere over there they do it legally where you like legal
Starfire was the best.
legal brothels and shit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Vegas.
Oh yeah.
No, but yeah.
I mean,
but
yeah.
it's anywhere, Nevada. When you can,
Nevada.
When
yeah.
you can do that stuff and it is legal, they have.
Is that here in the U.S.? No, just kidding.
No, but like I had a buddy who participated in one. We took him for his birthday, right? And the whole process was you take a shower, right? You have to wear a condom. You have to.
I like that taking the shower part.
Yeah.
Boring.
No, but you know what I mean, though. But like,
yeah.
For like you said, if you want to make this legal, it's pretty easy to make it safe.
I liked how the shower was a part of like mandatory.
And it's
nasty ass motherfuckers need to take showers.
And it's mandatory that they had to shower after as well.
Oh, that's
Really?
Yeah.
I like that.
That's
Fun fact.
a lot of water on the bill.
It cost a shit ton of money, but
Right, we already know after JD fucks, he ain't getting up. He fucking late. He out. That's it.
it cost him another $3,000 just to nap in the bed.
So I could nap in the bed while she's with the next client. Like, just don't wake me up, you know.
They're fucking on top of you. You're so out.
Bring me some chicken fajitas.
Give it down.
They had a nice ass backyard and everything too.
No, really?
Yeah, they took when you walk in, they like every model takes.
Was this your fucking first time?
It was not my first time.
Okay.
I couldn't afford it. I wanted to though. I was really.
This was in
curious.
Nevada?
Yeah.
Man, this sounds like Thailand or something.
Just like they have those clean like heroin facilities and where and like somewhere here in the States, right?
Well, I know in British
Portland?
Columbia they just legalized it, and I'm sure in Portland
shit.
they probably do have those facilities, and that's the rehabilitative stuff that would be great.
There's what other this Latin country somewhere where
Argentina?
like I think Argentina maybe
I think
it is
Argentina.
where like all drugs damn near are decriminalized to an extent where like for doing heroin on the street you can get a ticket rather than just going to jail, and they'll offer you a ticket, or you can go to a rehab.
I love that little heroin, like a little parking ticket.
Yeah, it's
little
like a parking
heroin
ticket, and
ticket.
it's a good hefty
You
fine.
open the glove compartment, all these heroin tickets fucking spill out.
Yeah.
I think you got a problem, man.
We're gonna charge you extra because we have to wipe the drool off of you.
Right.
Well, we're speaking real quick about legalizing sex work. It reminds me, I mentioned Thailand. I went to Thailand once and I saw a what are those shows called? A ping pong show. A ping pong show where they like do things with their pussy, like different things, you know, with their vagina. Like she popped honestly, it was like a little bird. She had a frog that came out of there.
Right.
She was like shooting little arrows towards
where they
balloons.
shoot it at stuff?
Yeah, like they have like powers,
No,
like
yeah.
muscle.
Yeah.
They're able to like do things.
They have a whole Star Wars show and things.
Yeah, she had little
crazy.
fish that she put in there, and then she popped them out, and then had a little cup, and then she held it up, and it was swimming around in the cup, and you're like, what the fuck? And that kind of stuff. If you have that kind of talent, you should legally be able to make money off of it. We should have ping pong shows around here.
Look, if you film it and put it online, it is perfectly legal.
I want to see it live. Damn it!
That's true.
I want to go into a venue, get me a drink, and see that shit live like a magic show. All right.
You know what's funny though? Like technically, sex work could be legal if you just film everything. If you just tell your
totally,
if you just tell your
as a porn like live like porn with a live audience.
No,
like,
no,
whose
no.
line is it
There's
anyway?
a Family Guy bit about this. It's like, you're arrested for prostitution. He's like, oh no, psych. Here's a camera guy. It's totally illegal now because it's porn.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
That's crazy how that works.
No, it's 100% true. So if like every prostitute on the street just made
Film it.
the guy
Have him sign a
a
release.
thing saying
because you
that I
got to
can
pay a
film.
man. Who's the person in charge then in the porn industry? It's like you got to pay a man. Then it's legal. But
Well-
if it's sex work, then she just making her money.
No,
Exactly.
that's not true, because I mean, you have a pimp that like will have a squad of women and he gets arrested. So
He's a
where's
director.
the fairness there?
Just gotta
Needs to
change
be
it.
illegal.
We gotta change it from pimp to filmmaker.
There we
That's
go.
the.
It's all about the language. It's really the language.
Language.
Yeah.
See, now I've got this picture of a guy with a giant
love to
purple
become a
hat and a
producer.
feather in it, just with the camera. Like,
Yeah.
come on, baby.
There you go.
And that's all you.
I'll
you go.
smack you if you get the wrong angle.
There you go.
Don't forget my money.
Every pump is $20. I gotta go back into memory lane for a bit.
Yeah.
I want to apologize to you
Oh, what?
about
making amends.
something a friend of mine did at one of your parties.
Oh, fuck.
Let's see if you
One
can
of my
remember.
Parties. Yeah.
I'm gonna apologize for my friend Gaspar.
No.
Can I share that story?
You can, but have you asked Gaspar?
Oh yeah,
Or
I
Gaspar,
speak for him. Gaspar. I speak for him. I think we mentioned this on air before, but
yeah.
It was your house, right?
Yeah, it was.
I
my
wasn't
house,
there.
yeah.
I just heard about it, and
It's so funny because I was thinking about this story on the way here because I was looking through y'all episodes and I saw that Gaspar
used to be one of the hosts.
Was on the show and I was like, man, where's he been? I haven't seen him since.
He was living in Death Valley for a while. Now he's like in the mountains.
So you could tell the story, but let me give the lead up to the story.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was like, I don't know, what, 10 years ago?
2011.
Yeah, it felt like a decade ago, right?
Yeah.
And I was doing comedy, and there was this lady that came at a comedy show, and she was a black lesbian woman that worked in cannabis CBD stuff, and she was trying to get at it, and she was hooking me up with edibles. She was like, hey, why don't you eat this? Maybe you can let me eat that, you know? And I said, well, I'm not going to turn down free shit. You can keep dreaming, you know what I'm saying? And so I took all the edibles. I was like, give me all this shit. And so I hooked my homies up after. So we would hang out, and I'd be like, hey, look at what you got. You should give me all this shit. So I was hanging out with
Gaspar, Johan.
And we were doing some, and then I was like, hey, here's some edibles. Let's fucking crack into them. And so then that's the lead up. Go ahead.
Gaspar is not like, that dude doesn't even drink coffee.
And I didn't really know him also. Like, I didn't know.
Doesn't do any
He doesn't do anything.
He's straight edge.
He's straight edge. And he doesn't
he's not straight edge if he did
He doesn't even drink coffee. So, but he was feeling experimental, you know?
He was straight edge up until that point.
Yeah. Well, he took a piece of whatever edible she gave him. I think it was like, he said it was a muffin or something, or a cookie. And he didn't feel the effect right away. So he thought my tolerance must be through the roof because I'm so healthy. So then he ate another one. And I think they were like high.
And I wasn't tripping because I was like, hey, whatever, this is a little edible.
And then apparently, this is according to Johan, they're sitting down watching TV, and then he just couldn't like breathe. And he said he was doing this, and then he got up and he was like, and then he said, hey guys, he told me this story. He's like, I think I need you guys need to call an ambulance. I think I'm having a heart attack.
And I was like, I entered and I was like, yo, you cool, man. You cool. It's just the edible, man. It's just, we let it pass.
And then he sat down after she said that, and then he was like, what if they're trying to kill me? That was his thought. He said his thought was like, I think they're trying to kill me, dude.
He's like, it's my life. It's my life. Give me an ambulance. And I was like, no, man, this is going to cost a lot of money, man. You're cool. You're not going to die. Like, it's my life. I was like, oh, fuck.
Did you guys end up calling an ambulance?
So,
Yes.
so what we did, but before, so Johan's like, I'm going to walk with him outside real quick. I'm going to walk with him. When Johan comes back to the door, I open the door. Johan's like, hey, man, I think we need to get him an ambulance. Johan's holding Gaspar in one hand, like his arms on him. He holding an upside down water bottle open. Johan's holding the bottle. The water's just pouring out. He's like, hey, man, I think we need to get an ambulance. I'm like, man, both of y'all fucked up right now. And I was like, no, man, we don't. And he's like, we need to do this. And I was like, fuck. And that's when my life, you know. And then I was like, well, fuck, I guess we got to call ambulance.
So we called the ambulance. All stoned out of your mind.
And then I didn't want to feel like the person that they were like, because of you, he fucking died.
Right.
He asked for an ambulance. It is his right for a fucking ambulance. And I'm like, oh shit, like he's his
like
right.
You start overthinking everything.
And then when the ambulance got there, Johan said, guys, he was like, my friends, we were doing edibles. He's really high. Like, I know that's the problem.
No, we didn't say he
didn't say that?
We were just like, we don't know what's going on. Because I was stressed that I was going to get in trouble for having the edibles.
Oh, shit.
And so they were like, so your friend, we think he got a hold of some edibles at a party. They were the ones.
Because he said that
you guys are all stoned.
Because he said that they laughed, right? Do you remember that?
I think they laughed, but I was like, don't nobody say shit that they got it from me, you know.
And then they connected like the
was weed wasn't really legal at this point.
It wasn't. Yeah.
So I was gonna say this. Was this the point where like people were making batches by themselves, and like sometimes you got a piece that had nothing in it, and then the inch over had everything.
Like it wasn't all spread out.
Maybe she worked with a cannabis company or whatever, where it was like if you had the card and all the things, it was like happening there in the beginning. So she hooked me up with actual stuff that was like packaged, like legit.
Okay. But even stuff back then was very different than it is now. Like
totally.
You can get a range of things. For back then it was like
the quality of things.
Yeah. Back then it was like, you get 100 milligrams or nothing.
Right.
Yeah. It was a hit or miss.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they were giggling. I think they were laughing.
Yeah,
they took him. They took him.
They took him in.
They took him to the hospital. They took him. You know?
Shit! Because he did say.
How much did that ride cost?
Well, I don't know, but he
I think
did
it was like
say
11.
he did say they connected.
11,000.
I think it was
really?
like a couple thousand. It was like hell of thousand.
He said they connected the EKG or whatever. What is it? The one where it checks your oxygen levels.
Yeah.
And he said that it was, the oxygen levels were really low. And he started freaking out. And they told him, well, it's probably because you're hyperventilating, dude.
Yeah.
So he was like, just relax. And then his oxygen levels were fine. And they just give him some water. Get the fuck out of here. That was it.
I remember the next
That
day.
cost $11,000.
I think it cost hella money. I forgot because when I talked to Johan after, he's like, yeah, his parents had to go to the hospital and get him, and they live hella far.
Yeah.
It was a couple an hour or something, an hour and a half, and then it was they're hella pissed about how much it cost, and I was like, fuck. And I don't have beef with him. I just never talked to him again. I think he might have hated me. I'm like some evil lady that gave him drugs and fucked up his life. I was like, oh no.
Well, he probably couldn't afford to text you again.
Right. I was like, I didn't try to ruin
That's
your
why he
life.
left the voice party. He couldn't afford to do anything
Couldn't afford
after
it
that
no
bill.
more. I remember also.
But Gaspar, just a message to him. I love you. I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you're safe. And it is your life. And
and you called the ambulance.
I called the ambulance.
You saved his life, dude. You know what I would have done?
Money. I was trying to save him money.
Instead of calling the ambulance, I would have threw him in the bathtub and put cold water on him.
I would have just
you'll be all right. Just take deep breaths.
throw him in the water.
And tell him to take a deep breath. And as he did that, just squirt his face as he's breathing, with water.
He didn't have that trust for me though. He wouldn't have let me do that. He had the trust for Johan, but his ass had an upside down water bottle. He couldn't help him out either, man. He couldn't help him out.
See, this is what I want to know. You guys are trying to act all normal, right? But you guys are all stoned out of your mind.
Oh, yeah,
There's
yeah.
no way that they're not looking at you guys think you're acting all professional. We don't know what happened, blah blah. But what it really sounds like is,
Yeah, no, exactly.
You know what I mean? You guys are not audible at all. They have no idea what the fuck you guys are talking about.
I mean, code
not on
switching real quick, that
Quaaludes.
professional. I get that professional. It doesn't matter how fucked
you
up it
think
gets.
you do.
You
think you do.
Well, no, but
don't know.
They're on weed, not Quaaludes, man.
yeah, exactly.
But if they were that stoned out of their mind that they were thinking they were dying, and Johan's holding a bottle upside
No,
down.
I didn't. I was saying the whole time. I was like, man, we trying to watch Great British Baking
This
Show.
sounds like
You don't know how much
you
weed
guys are
she
on
had.
shrooms.
Can you perform while on an edible? Can you do that?
I couldn't perform to the degree I'd like to.
Okay.
Because I'd be like, hey,
'Cause
my arms are like noodles, man.
Yeah.
And so my jokes wouldn't come out the way I want.
I can't imagine performing or anything high on weed. The first, I actually shared this on stage yesterday as a bit. My first time smoking that fucking keef in the weed was the trippiest. I've never felt that high before. It was one of my homies had been murdered a few months earlier.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Laugh.
And no, it's just well, anyways. And then later on, around this time, the same day actually, his family decided to make a Facebook profile with his picture on it, as a remembrance to him.
After he died?
After he died.
Okay.
And I smoked weed with fucking the oil was the not hash, the keef. Mm-hmm. And that shit gets you fucking way higher. That same moment that I'm feeling high as fuck, I look at my phone and my homie's profile
Pops up.
sends me a friend request. I was like, is this heaven?
You're like, am I dead?
Am I dead too now? Yeah, dude, it was trippy. I put my phone down.
Do y'all follow people on Instagram after they die? Do y'all unfollow them after they die?
I have not unfollowed my grandma.
I for real want to. Okay, you have not.
I unfollowed one person.
Is your grandpa a private profile?
My grandma.
Your grandma?
She was a private, yeah.
Okay, so if they're private,
She used to DM us all the time.
Yeah.
And she would respond to pictures, but through DMs, so we didn't know what she was talking about.
okay, yeah, so that's something to hold on to.
Yeah.
What about people that you know that you didn't really, where it's just we know so many comedians,
Yeah.
random people. If they die, unfollow or what?
I'm still friends with some comics who have died on Facebook. Some that have passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, I don't even touch.
Facebook, yeah, I don't even touch. And I got some that have passed away. That I grew up with. I still haven't even deleted their phone from my number.
I was gonna say phone numbers. I have a hard time deleting. I still have 3 grandmas and friends from high school
Yeah.
that I can't delete.
I got a phone call from one of my uncles like right before he died, and I like screenshot, you know, because I got a new phone since, but I screenshot that. I don't know why. I screenshot that phone call he, you know, that when he called me, because that was the last time I talked to him.
Man, sentimentality, man.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
I haven't unfollowed anyone that's passed, but mostly it's relatives. So
You know what's crazy to think?
Yeah.
I will say this
20,
though.
30 years. I mean, even now probably, but like just in like a long time from now, there's gonna be so many dead people on social media.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be real with it. There's so many comedians that I know, like random comic in New Orleans that passed away. I don't know him. I unfollow real quick. I'm like, oh, he dead. He ain't gonna hook me up with a set. I'm gonna unfollow his set.
That's so fucked up.
Delete it.
But
But we're not friends. But we're not,
Yeah,
because
not
in the
rep-
business,
not real friends.
I don't really know him.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know if I've met. You know what I'm saying? It's just people die that we're not like JD. If you, I would still follow you. I would still follow you. You know.
Appreciate it. I will say this though. I will say this, and this is gonna sound fucked up. The older I get, if like a homie passes away, like a high school homie passes away, and we don't have a cool updated picture of me to share, probably not even gonna mention his death.
You know, because why? If you can't do it for the likes.
if you're not, I mean, if you're not that close,
I'm fucking with you.
that's pretty fucked
That's
up.
fucked up. Yeah. No.
You gotta look good on that social media.
Wish we would have taken a better picture, you know? No, but it is it does feel weird sometimes to like there's a couple of friends that passed away, and like every time I do look at their pictures, it makes me sad. So I feel like not, you know.
But I don't want to lose access to it. One of my friends that
Exactly.
passed away on Instagram, he has a private profile.
Yeah.
And I don't want to unfollow or anything.
Right.
And even though I don't see the post like that once in a while, I'll be like, oh man. And then I'll go click on him. And sometimes I'll see in the most recent photo, people be like, oh, just thought of you or whatever. And it brings me some joy.
For sure.
Yeah, it's like a photo.
Right.
You know, Instagram is basically like a photo album. You know, you take pictures of your friends in the 90s or whatever, and then you might have a collection of photos of that time we went fishing together or that time we went to the sports game. And, you know, so I think it's important if you have that kind of friend or family member to always have that access, especially after they pass. Those are memories. Oh, look at Dave and his wife. They look so sweet together.
And it's great that Facebook does that with like, remember 6 years ago you were doing this, or Facebook was like, remember 10 years ago you put this post, and I was like, man, that's a racist ass post, man. That was fucking, I should delete that. I was like driving blah 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 Asian lady. I would not say that shit. It was like 2010. I was like, I cannot say that shit today.
Right.
No, but
delete that part, edit that part out. I didn't say it on the podcast either.
You know what's more fucked up actually? When people die that you like just didn't get along with per se, or you like
You're like, finally,
no. But like you like talk shit about them, and no one could deny this because everyone's done this to some extent. But like there's somebody that you're kind of friends with on social media, but you're like, this bitch pisses me off or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I had a coworker like that, and we like just did not. She was an older lady. We didn't get along for like the first 6 months that she started working there. A week before, she randomly had a heart attack and didn't show up for work one day. She died. But the week before that, we found out, because we worked in SF, we found out that we lived right next to each other out in Richmond.
Oh, wow.
And so she gave me a ride one time. Then we started talking. We're like, oh, crap. I'm 23. She's 60. We have a lot more in common than we thought. And
sounds like the beginning of a porn.
Yeah. But I mean, we started
I like that older woman.
But we started like,
PlayStation 5.
started to get to know
Common
each other and
ground.
being like, fuck.
And then
we
the
were
love of
talking
your life
shit about each
died.
other this entire time. And then all of a sudden she dropped dead. And I was like,
It's like Rose and the reincarnation of Jack.
It doesn't sound like a porn. It sounds like a romantic movie.
We were just
romantic
so
tragedy.
bad.
You were just beginning to respect each other.
right. But I was like, I
That's-
felt bad.
yeah.
That, like,
Actually, Marcos, I really love this love story because it shows like how ageism is such a problem, and you're like not ageist. You know, you're like
Appreciate it.
seeing the beauty in an older woman. I like that.
She has a car. Ooh.
Fuck yeah.
she had a nicer car than me.
You get them senior discount.
We bonded over DNCE. It was great. By Joe Jonas. It was wonderful. It's one of my fondest memories.
You know, like I will say this, like, you know, I think for me, like death of loved ones has had a huge effect on me. You know, especially like, this is a weird thing that I just started experiencing now. Like, I look at you know, a friend of mine, a couple of my friends that died in my early 20s, you know, either murdered or whatever, overdose or whatever. And I look at their picture now, and it trips me out that, like, now I see them, they look like kids. You know, and like, it lets me know how much time has passed. I get sad about that, but also, you know, like, I don't know. They said, someone said it's like a form of survivor's guilt.
Yeah.
And
but I feel like that about the opposite. People that survived, and you look at them, you're like, look how fucking old they got. They look fucked up. That's what having kids does, huh? Like,
looking in the mirror. You know?
Yeah. So we do the opposite. If they live, we say, look how fucked up they look. If they die, we're like, look how young they look. They didn't get fucked up like us.
Yeah, that's true.
Is that when you won't follow them? No.
You look at the
They're like, whether you die or survive, you're getting followed.
The bigger
you can't book me on a show. Forget your fucking
the darker these
Instagram account.
The darker these get, like, the more people I am followed that are died.
That's why I wear eyeliner, so you
Get
can't
some
tell the
sleep,
difference.
man.
Yeah, what's your skincare routine? What's your skincare regimen?
A fucking bar soap.
A bar soap.
Bar soap.
Okay.
I need to get
exfoliating bar soap or what?
No, I need to get better.
My
He's
bro was
a
always
used
like,
bar soap.
my bro was all like, get a facial
bar soap
cleanser.
from
And I'm like,
from Goodwill.
I was raised by grandparents. I'm not about to get something that was invented for men in the 90s, okay? Like,
Yeah.
I always like to ask.
bar soap is fine.
I always like to ask comics this. I want to either hear like your the worst bombing story that you have, if you have one, or just in general your first time doing stand up.
Remember when you told us you hated talking about comedy?
I know you did. I did. But it's like a thing I like to hear from every comic.
Okay, my first time doing stand-up, Tommy T's.
Oh shit! Okay.
That was your first time?
Tommy T's open mic Tuesday. Paid $5
okay.
to go up. It was a competition. Got second place. Killed it.
Nice.
And I was like, oh shit! I got second place. Maybe I should keep doing this.
Yeah.
And so that was my first time. It was a good time. I didn't invite friends. I invited 2 friends because they were like, if I ate shit, they were there, you know. Yeah. But I didn't invite people for a long time because I just, you know.
Yeah.
Some people make the mistake. Some people make the mistake of inviting people too soon. It's like, man, now people feel sorry for you. And then my worst bomb, oh man. I gotta be honest.
Oh shit!
We already know where this is going.
I gotta really bomb that one.
Oh shit! I believe it.
But I will say,
you bombed at least once.
I would say I bombed because of my inability to control my temper when it was a heckler. And so I bombed because.
What was the heckler? What was the
it was, you know, just
said?
I think there was one show. It was in San Mateo, one of those cities right by not Palo Alto, but San Mateo, Burlingame. Something like that, a dive bar show. A Muslim comic was going before me, and there was some guy in the audience, a white guy spewing out some, you know, bigoted, racist shit.
Threw off your energy.
And no one was saying anything to support him, and like the fucking social justice warrior in me was like, this is fucked up, you know? Yeah. So when I went up, I like went to town on him too, and he was having the same kind of animosity towards me, probably because I reflect maybe some of the same physical features the last comic did. And so, you know, I just was like, man, fuck you, da, da, da. And even the people who owned the place, they unplugged the mic, and I was like, I don't give a fuck if the mic is off, man. Fuck you, you racist ass. Da, da, da. You think I need this mic? I'm loud as fuck. And so the whole show just like it was done. It ended. The show ended. They ended up telling the dude who runs the show, we don't want a comedy show here no more. And so that's
fucked up how that happened.
Yeah,
like.
it ended. But I did feel like the venue could have done a better job of supporting a person who is a racial minority.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they didn't kick the guy out. Instead, they cut comedy shows.
And they cut me, who was spewing, you know, saying the right shit. Yeah, and so it was kind of like, I don't give a fuck.
They chose the wrong side.
I did apologize to the producer, and I said sorry, but I think the producer was also like, you know what, man, fuck it. If they're gonna be like that anyway, like the show wouldn't have worked out long term anyway.
Right.
For real.
So I would say that's my biggest
Good thing we
bomb.
caught it.
That's a good way to bomb though.
Hell yeah.
Getting the show canceled. fucking-
fuck it. Bring everyone down with you.
Man, one time I used to run a show in Oakland, and fucking Charles Kelly, this dude
I love
told
that
a
guy.
cop killing joke. He told like some cop killing police joke, and then this table complained. They were like, "We want our bill paid for," and they had to have like some $200 bill.
no.
And then the people that
What?
worked there were like, "No more comedy shows here."
Wow.
The show got canceled because of his cop killing joke.
The Charles Hoffa Kelly era of comedy.
Yeah. So
About some safe spacers. Over.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
I believe the Blue Lives Matter, and I've been offended.
Yeah. Are you still doing your cooking show?
I'm not doing the cooking show. You know,
I loved it. That was
it was
awesome.
cool. It was difficult because the food.
Right.
You always have to worry about like making sure the shit, and it became more about the food than like me creating it, and like it didn't help me comedically. It helped me get views on how to make chicken tikka masala.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh, what's the intention with this project?
I see. Okay.
It's
Right.
not aligning with my goals, and so I
Right.
stopped doing. But if someone wanted to pay for me to have that as a show, then I would do it. But again, I edit and do everything myself, and
Right.
so
Speaking of that,
yeah.
before we go, because we have to
Yeah.
light a bit. I don't
Yeah,
wanna keep taking
definitely.
up too much of your time. You got your own podcast going.
I do.
I've seen you fucking killing it, dude.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate. We're gonna have to switch and have you on one day.
Oh
yeah.
shit!
Yeah, maybe we could do a fucking crossover. We can bring it in here.
I'm down. I'm down.
Yeah, we do a little crossover.
18 cameras
Just
up.
bring your banners and we'll replace it.
Yeah,
with these.
yeah.
Yeah, do have
Tell our listeners what your podcast is and where they can listen.
Yeah, my podcast is called Mouthful with Shanti. It's pretty much just like academia and comedy. How can I combine my academic life where we learn shit and my comedy life where we laugh about shit? So it's just laughing and learning, and you can find it on Spotify. We have it on YouTube too, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you can find podcasts.
When's-
IG Mouthful with Shanti.
When's your next show so I can possibly go see you?
Yeah, my next show. Shit, I gotta look at the calendar.
This is not going to be
This is
promotion
not gonna
for it
be
because
promotion.
it's
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
out in months. I'm talking personally.
No, yeah, personally, I
wanna see.
I want to let you know personally. Shit, I mean.
Yeah, this-
maybe-
And while you're doing that, tell our listeners what your IG is so you can.
So yeah, you can follow me on Shanti Charan Comedy. That's on IG. That's also on TikTok. And my website's shanticharan.com. And you can find everything through my link tree through all those things. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, he'll tell you off air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank
out.
you so much for
Appreciate it.
having
This
me. I
was
had a
lot
really
of
good
fun,
time,
dude.
y'all. Thank you.
That's been the voice.
Thank you,
Party.
The Voice Party.
Cool.
Hey.